What if one athlete could change not just a sport, but the world? Could a single pair of shoes reshape music, fashion, and culture? That's exactly what happened when Michael Jordan teamed up with Nike in the 1980s. What started as a simple basketball shoe deal became a cultural movement that changed sneaker culture forever. Today, Air Jordans aren't just shoes, they are a symbol of style, status, and influence. But how did it all begin? How did a basketball shoe turn Nike from a running shoe company into a global powerhouse? In this video, we'll dive into the story, from Jordan's first Nike contract in 1984 to the worldwide impact of Jordan brand today. If you love stories about sports, culture, and legends, make sure to like this video and subscribe to G.O.A.T Report. Let's get started. Nike before Jordan. Before Michael Jordan, Nike was mostly known for running shoes. They were a strong company, but they weren't yet a cultural icon. In the early 1980s, basketball shoes were dominated by brands like Converse and Adidas. Nike was still the underdog when it came to basketball. The company needed a bold move, something that could make them stand out not just in sports, but in culture. When Nike leaders saw Michael Jordan play, they realized he was more than just an incredible athlete. He had talent, charisma, and a personality that could make him a symbol, a figure who could take Nike from being just a shoe company to a cultural powerhouse. The deal that changed everything. In 1984, Nike made a bold move. They offered a rookie named Michael Jordan a 5-year endorsement deal worth $2.5 million. At the time, this was unheard of for a player who hadn't even played an NBA game yet. Most companies would have considered it risky, but Nike saw something special. They didn't just want Jordan to wear their shoes. They wanted him to become the face of a brand, a symbol that could take Nike beyond running shoes and into basketball culture. Nike envisioned a shoe built around him, with his personality, style, and game at the center. This deal was more than just money. It was a statement. It marked the birth of the Air Jordan line, a shoe that would go on to change basketball, fashion, and culture forever. It was the start of something that no one could have predicted. Air Jordan 1. In 1985, the first Air Jordan 1 hit the market, and it didn't look like any other basketball shoe. Instead of the plain white sneakers that most players wore, it had bold colors, especially black and red, that stood out on the court. The NBA at the time required shoes to be mostly white, so Jordan's sneakers technically broke the rules. Nike turned this into a marketing masterpiece. They told the story that the NBA had banned the shoes, even though it was mostly a clever exaggeration. That idea of rebellion, of breaking the rules and standing out, immediately caught the attention of young people everywhere. The Air Jordan 1 wasn't just a basketball shoe anymore. It became a symbol of style, confidence, and defiance. Wearing them was a statement, a way to show that you didn't just follow the rules, you set your own. Sneaker culture begins to move. Before the Air Jordans, most sneakers were just tools, made for playing sports or casual everyday wear. But when the Air Jordan 1 arrived, everything changed. Suddenly, sneakers weren't just about performance. They became symbols of style, identity, and status. Young fans started camping outside stores to be among the first to grab the newest releases. People began collecting every model, tracking every colorway, and even keeping shoes in boxes like treasures. Shoes weren't just for wearing anymore. They became objects of desire, conversation starters, and markers of personality. This is where sneakerhead culture began. A whole community emerged, united by a love for sneakers as art, fashion, and even investment. Air Jordans were no longer just shoes. They were a movement, connecting people across cities, generations, and cultures, and laying the foundation for the multi-billion-dollar sneaker industry we know today. Jumpman and the rise of a brand. As the Air Jordan line grew, Nike gave it a logo that would become instantly recognizable. The Jumpman. This silhouette of Michael Jordan soaring through the air in a classic dunk wasn't just a design. It was a symbol. It represented excellence, ambition, and the freedom to stand out. The Jumpman became more than a logo on a shoe. It became a statement of attitude, inspiring people to reach higher, work harder, and express themselves. From sports arenas to fashion streets, the Jumpman showed that the Air Jordan line was about more than shoes. It was a way of life. Jordan brand, more than just sneakers. Over time, the Air Jordan line grew into its own brand, Jordan Brand, almost like a separate company under Nike. It wasn't just about basketball shoes anymore. Nike created a lifestyle, offering sneakers, clothing, and accessories, all tied to Michael Jordan's name and influence. Fans didn't buy Jordans only to play basketball. They wore them to express style, identity, and status. The shoes became part of fashion, streetwear, and everyday life. Jordan Brand showed that a shoe could carry culture, personality, and aspiration, turning Michael Jordan's impact from the court into a global phenomenon beyond sports. Impact on streetwear and fashion. Air Jordans were first made for basketball, designed to perform on the court. But they quickly became more than sports shoes. In the 1990s and 2000s, Jordans showed up in music videos, movies, and fashion magazines. Hip-hop artists like Jay-Z and Ice Cube rapped about them, making Jordans a part of urban culture. Celebrities and athletes from other sports also wore them. They weren't just shoes anymore. They became symbols of style, success, and status. Wearing Jordans meant being part of a culture, showing personality, and connecting with something bigger than basketball. Limited drops and the rise of sneaker economics. One of Nike's smartest moves with Air Jordans was to release shoes in limited quantities. Certain models were only available for a short time, or in small numbers. This made each release feel like a big event. Fans lined up outside stores, and online raffles became the norm. Shoes sold out instantly and then resold for much higher prices. This strategy didn't just sell sneakers. It created excitement, status, and value. Nike controlled demand, making Jordans feel rare, special, and worth chasing. Fans weren't just buying shoes, they were buying a piece of culture. Design innovation keeps the legacy alive. Jordan Brand didn't just rely on nostalgia. Every new Air Jordan model brought fresh ideas and innovation. The Air Jordan 3 introduced visible air cushioning and the Jumpman logo, making the brand instantly recognizable. The Air Jordan 11 used shiny patent leather and bold designs, becoming a must-have for fashion and basketball fans alike. Later models kept pushing technology, comfort, and style while staying true to the brand's identity. By mixing performance features with designs that appealed to athletes and trendsetters, Nike made sure each generation of Jordans stayed exciting, relevant, and culturally influential. Air Jordans and hip-hop culture. The relationship between music and Air Jordans took the brand to a whole new level. Hip-hop artists didn't just wear Jordans, they celebrated them in songs, videos, and public appearances. Rappers like Jay-Z, Ice Cube, and others mentioned specific Jordan models in their lyrics, making fans connect music, style, and sneakers in a way that went beyond basketball. Music videos showed artists rocking Jordans, turning them into must-have fashion statements. This wasn't just a one-way street. Jordans became cooler because artists wore them, and artists wore them because Jordans were already iconic. The sneakers and the music culture amplified each other, creating a loop that reinforced status, style, and cultural relevance. Over time, Jordans weren't just shoes. They became symbols of identity, success, and self-expression, giving fans a way to show personality and connect with culture in a visible, powerful way. Collectibles, auctions, and global desire. Air Jordans became more than just basketball shoes. They became prized collectibles. Some vintage pairs, especially those worn by Michael Jordan in actual games, have sold for millions of dollars at auctions. Each pair carries history, from iconic dunks to championship moments, turning sneakers into cultural artifacts. Fans and collectors see owning Jordans as owning a piece of basketball and fashion history. It's not just about style or performance anymore. It's about connecting to a legend, celebrating achievement, and holding a tangible part of sports culture that transcends generations. The Jordan legacy and Nike's business growth. By building the brand around Michael Jordan, Nike didn't just sell shoes, they created a business powerhouse. In 2024, Jordan Brand reportedly earns billions in revenue every year. That's thousands of times more than the $2.5 million rookie deal Michael got in 1984. Nike didn't just pay an athlete, they built a lasting legacy that continues to grow and influence sports, fashion, and culture worldwide. Beyond sneakers, cultural weapon. Nike and Michael Jordan didn't just sell shoes, they changed how brands connect with culture. Today, athletes aren't just endorsers, they help shape style, identity, and youth culture. Air Jordans became a symbol of success, self-expression, achievement, and fashion. They didn't just make Nike cool, they defined a generation and set a blueprint for how sports, culture, and branding could come together worldwide. The global reach of Jordan brand. Michael Jordan's influence goes far beyond the US. Air Jordans are worn in cities across Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Americas. They aren't just shoes, they're status symbols, fashion icons, and cultural treasures. Sneaker culture has become a global industry worth tens of billions, and Air Jordans were leading the way. Why this story still matters today. Even decades after Michael Jordan retired, his brand is still huge. Kids line up for new releases, and sneakers sell out in minutes. Celebrities wear Jordans on red carpets, and collaborations with artists and brands keep the line exciting. Air Jordans aren't just shoes. They're a cultural force, shaping style, identity, and self-expression, proving that a brand can be more than a product. Michael Jordan and Nike didn't just create a shoe, they created a language. A way for people everywhere to express themselves, connect across generations, and celebrate greatness. But what makes a simple sneaker become so much more? How did Air Jordans go from a bold idea to a global symbol of culture and style? Thanks for watching. If this story inspired you, make sure to like this video and subscribe to G.O.A.T Report for more stories about how sports, culture, and business collide. Who knows, the next story might change how you see the world too.